Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and welcome to the second edition of Fix or Fail. This is where we take in a viewer or a local person's PC which is having problems, try and diagnose it, try and fix it, and all try and do it for absolutely 0 pence. And hopefully we can do. And here is today's target. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so here is today's victim. This is the PC we'll be looking at. It has a Zolman PC case. I think this is a slightly older unit from the look of it. So we've got no tempered glass on the side. Got some ventilation there, which is slightly more remnant or reminding me of somewhere in the mid sort of 2010s, I'm guessing. So a slightly older unit, and a quick look around the back and we can see there's a couple of wireless dongles in there already. We've got a VGA output, so potentially it could be a slightly older board. We've got a Wi-Fi card there, which doesn't appear to actually be held in by anything other than basically the PCI Express fingers and a little bit of good luck. So while I'm actually going to take the screws out, let's tell you a little bit more about this. So this was actually, I noticed this morning, I was on Facebook and just going through one of the local groups for our local area, and somebody was asking, do you know anybody who is good with computers or would look at a computer which is dead? So I just said, yeah, sure, I'm interested. Tell me more about it, sort of thing. So basically, yeah, got into the DMs, etc., and found out a little bit more. It seems that the PC, first of all, it seemed like it was dead. So I'm thinking immediately power supply, power button, that sort of thing, possibly. But it seems that actually, no, they kind of over-egged that. It isn't actually dead. It's basically just it won't boot into Windows, or at least that is what we've been told. So it goes to a blue screen situation, it basically won't go into Windows. Apparently, from what I can gather, there has been an attempt already to rectify this by doing a fresh install or doing a repair installation. So it'd be interesting to see what's going on there. And looking on the inside, we're going to give this a little bit of a clean up before we do too much, but judging by the kind of age of the PC, you expect a little bit of dust on there. So the cooler looks okay. Fans seem to be working. Power supply's got a little bit of dust on there, but nothing out of the ordinary. Looks like this is a FM2 platform, so AMD platform, which was around the same sort of time as AM3, so that kind of dates it somewhat. Got some HyperX RAM in there. We've got a mechanical hard drive, so depending on the year of this, if it is somewhere around the sort of 2015 mark, then potentially we might be getting a failing hard drive, that sort of thing. It's only a 350 watt power supply, which at the time for this processor, without a graphics card, absolutely fine. But power supplies don't last forever, so potentially we might be losing a little bit of juice on the rails on the power supply, so we can certainly go ahead and test that. Otherwise, looking inside, everything appears to be looking quite okay. This is the first time I've actually looked into it. The motherboard itself actually looks relatively clean. I'll try and give you some decent shots of that. No bulging capacitors or any blown capacitors that I can see. So yeah, overall, it looks okay. So it's going to be interesting to see what it's like when we actually fire it up. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. We're going to go through, we'll do a little montage now where I'm going to give this thing a little bit of a TLC, bit of a clean up before we go into too much depth in there. I'm kind of thinking actually this PCI Express card, which is kind of just hanging there, that potentially could have shorted out somewhere on the back. I don't know. Maybe that is a potential. And also we've got a couple of Wi-Fi dongles here, or I'm not even sure what these are for. Possibly, I'm guessing maybe a keyboard and mouse. They do look identical, so maybe it's a keyboard and mouse which are the same brand, but potentially even things like Wi-Fi dongles can cause issues on computers. So actually I am going to remove those. Actually no, tell a lie, I'm going to leave them in because I want to see if we can replicate the blue screen. Hopefully it's going to be one of those things where it's very easy to replicate the problem, and then we can take a look at the blue screen and obviously look into it a little bit further from there. And also we can listen out for things like any hard drive noises, clunking, or that sort of stuff. It looks like the RAM is in okay, but chances are we'll give that a little bit of a remove just to see what the deal is there. But anyway, I've waffled on for way too long already, so let's get this thing cleaned up and powered up, and we'll see what comes out on the screen. Okay, so we've given it a little bit of a clean up and just connected everything up. So we've got our UPS here. Thanks to SkyStalker for sending us this. I'm actually using this as a kind of like an intermediary. So if there is any problem with this, if there is a power supply issue or anything, then this will take the brunt of the surge, etc., rather than tripping out the entire house. So that is actually a very good use for a UPS. So anyway, let's turn this thing on. Did I turn the power supply on at the back? Just double check. Yes, I did. And also I've moved the Wi-Fi card as well, just in case that was causing any issues. So let's press the power button and see what happens. So power LEDs come on. You can hear the hard drive spinning up, and looks like we're about to get a display. There we go. I'm going to let it go straight in as if this is the first time that we're seeing it, which it is, and see if it actually boots into Windows or loads up. I'm kind of hoping for a blue screen. If it goes straight into Windows, I'm going to be really upset, but also somewhat pleased at the same time. And there we go. So your PC ran into a problem and needs to restart. We are just collecting some error info and then we'll restart you. So our stop code is bad system config info, and then it turned itself off, and we'll probably try and reboot itself. So bad config info, that is generally, if I remember rightly, that is a registry error. But we'll see what happens with preparing automatic repair. We'll see if we can get it to go in. So we've got options here. We can continue, recovery, use the device, blah, 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 operating system, or we do troubleshoot. So I'm going to go ahead and do troubleshoot. You could, if you wanted to at this point, do reset this PC, but we're going to do advanced options, and it's going to do the usual things. It's going to go into safe mode and see what we can actually get it to do. So you can do startup repair as well. Potentially that might be worth doing, but I'm going to just try with safe modes first of all. So this will give you the option to do safe mode, low VGA mode, all that kind of stuff. So let us reboot a minute and we'll see what happens. So we've got the option here of either, well, one of 9 things. So we can enable debugging, which kind of we should do anyway, really. But I think we're just going to go with enable safe mode to see if there is just a driver thing which is going on. So let's go for number 4, and I'll try now to boot into safe mode. Now I can't see from this side because I'm on the other side of the computer, but I can't see if any of the fans are actually spinning. Yeah, Kath's saying there is. So we've got bad system config info again. Okay, so this time we're going to let it reboot and go into the BIOS and just see what is going on there. See if there's anything which looks slightly odd or unusual. So I'm going to hit F12. So let's go in, and what processors? So this is a 7860K with 4 cores and 8 graphical compute cores. And currently at, looks like 4 gigahertz, thereabouts, which I think is pretty much what it should be. Clock control, yeah, processor graphics. Sorry if that has been totally out of focus, but yeah, we'll hopefully you can see what it is. If not, I'll fast forward this and I'll update you in the videos, let you know what's going on. So I just turned on the amp memory profile, which is basically XMP. What we've got going on, clock ratio should really be set to auto. Yeah. Core performance boost auto, yeah, we'll set that to auto. Cool and quiet. Yeah, I think that is pretty much as it should be. Boot mode is set to UEFI and legacy, so that's fine. Storage boot. We'll try UEFI first. Yeah, everything looks to be okay there. Actually, we'll turn on that. And the handoff as well. SATA configuration, we're not set to RAID or anything. No, native IDE, so that's fine. So AHCI would have been preferable, I guess. So I'm going to set that to, actually, not present. HCI, I suppose, not going to make a great deal of difference. Power management disabled, yeah, we don't want any of that. Fine, let's save and exit there and see what happens now. I'm honestly not expecting much difference, to be completely honest with you. Right, so it doesn't like being in that mode, so we'll go back in and we'll change that back. So set that back to native IDE. So if it's using Windows Boot Manager, that means it should be UEFI. And preparing automatic repair again. Yeah, so it appears it's not happy. There's actually a lot of electrical noise coming from it. If I get a bit closer. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where that's coming from, but anyway. So let's try see what is going on in the recovery environment. We've got the same thing again, bad system config info. Okay, so let's try some commands here and see what we can actually get it to do. So we're going to troubleshoot, and we're going to advanced options, and we will go into command prompt. Right, so still kind of saying that it's only, well, there's no Windows installations on there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the drive out and actually scan it and make sure that it's actually healthy before we go too much further. Although saying that, we could also, let's have a look. CD dir. Which version of Windows is this? I'm not sure if we can do WinVer on here. No. Okay, so there's a Windows update in the background gone on there. So I wonder if System Restore might help us. So let's exit out of here. Advanced options. Let's try uninstall updates. And we'll try the latest quality update, see if that makes any difference. Uninstall the last update. Yep. And this could take a while because it's on a slightly older hard disk drive and won't be able to uninstall it. So no, that's a negative. And we'll try advanced options again, uninstall updates, and this time we'll try the feature update and uninstall the feature update. And we ran into a problem. This is intriguing. Let's try system restore and see if there is actually any system restore points. No system restore points have been created on your computer system drive. To create a restore point, open system protection. So there's no system restore points. I have actually been told that there's nothing on this drive which is needed to be kept. But at the same time, I'm not entirely sure which version of Windows is actually on here and what is supported. Being this is a slightly older motherboard, I'm slightly doubtful whether Windows 10 is actually supported on it. So I'm going to turn this off now and do some double checking and see what the deal is. And looks like we might just have to try and do a fresh install and see how that actually fares. So we'll be back straight after that. Okay, so long story short, yeah, it doesn't seem like it wants to be fixed, and started doing a Windows installation. It seems to have gone through and done most of it already, so it looks like it's going to be okay. So I'm doing a Windows 10 Pro installation on here, see if that is actually compatible. Seems like we've got 1 terabyte drive on here, which, even though it's a slightly older hard disk drive, it should be absolutely fine. So I'm just going to go ahead at the moment and do the installation. And we'll skip that second one. There is a very odd electrical humming noise coming from this, which I'm not entirely sure exactly where it's coming from. So yeah, it's a little bit strange. So we're going to connect up. Looks like the Wi-Fi is working anyway, because it says connect to a network. So we're going to connect to our guest network. And it seems to have connected, so that's a good sign. So we at least know that the Wi-Fi card, at least at the moment, appears to be okay. But there is a slightly odd electrical noise. So I'll be completely quiet now and see if you can actually pick it up. I'm not entirely sure where that is coming from, but anyway, we'll let Windows carry on, do its installation, and then we'll take a look in Device Manager, install some device drivers, do the updates, etc. And yeah, we'll see where this thing ends up. Do a couple of stability tests just to make sure that it stays up and stable. What is wrong with it, I honestly couldn't tell you at the moment. So yeah, just a matter of installing Windows and doing some testing and seeing what the heck is going on with it. So we'll be back shortly after. Okay, so we've got Windows 10 Professional installed, and I've done all the latest updates. And I've gone into Device Manager. We've still got something which is not entirely right, which I believe is going to be, well, it says PCI device, as you'll probably see on the screen. I am recording this screen capture. You're probably seeing what is going on as well. So I've downloaded the drivers for the processor. There doesn't appear to be chipset drivers as such that I can find from the AMD site for this particular board. So I'm hoping by installing the Adrenaline software from around about March of this year, hopefully it's going to have things in there like the GPIO drivers and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm going to stick the drive in and we'll see what happens. I am trying to be deliberately extremely careful there because the Wi-Fi card is still hanging by a thread. So yeah, I'm not overly keen on that entire setup. There's a problem with this drive. Well, there shouldn't be because I've literally just taken it out of my other computer. Oh, we'll see what's going on. That is slightly concerning that I've literally plugged it into my computer, used it, and immediately it thinks that there is some sort of potential issue with the drive. So, not to be a kind of fearmonger, but that might lead down to the processor or something not reading data correctly. Although saying that, we've got this far, so it should be absolutely fine. Anyway, I digress. Let's go in and we'll see what we can install. I'm going to start off first of all. I'm going to drag these over onto the desktop. And it looks like I've actually... yeah, I was in the middle of downloading Unigine Heaven. So that might have been what it is, because there is a partial file there. So yeah, that might be what went wrong. So let's install the chipset drivers, hopefully. And yeah, we'll see what happens here. Still that annoying whistle noise. Actually, I did notice, if I actually stop the fan, shortly after the noise goes away, when the fan starts, you hear it again. Now they have actually tied the fan wire in a circle around another cable. So whether there's some sort of electrical interference there, I'm not sure. I am thinking that I'm going to have to replace the CPU cooler at some point. Probably going to take it off anyway, just as a matter of course, part of routine maintenance. Take the CPU cooler off, give it some new thermal paste, and also we're going to install hardware monitor just to see what the temperature's like on this thing and see if it makes any difference whatsoever. And in the meantime, I will be looking for a AM3 compatible cooler to swap this one out just in case that fan is on its way out, which potentially it could be. And there we go, looks like we've now got a proper resolution, although we've still got a weird PCI device listed in there. And is there any other problem devices? Nope, not currently. So we might still need to look for motherboard chipset drivers, but at least we've got the graphics installed. So let's do a quick restart from there, and then we'll see if that PCI device disappears after. Okay, so it's rebooted. We've still got that unknown PCI device, so headed over to the Gigabyte website for this motherboard, which is the GA-F2 A10 or HM. Yep. -HD2. There's two revisions. They both look pretty much identical. So we're going to take a look into the support section and see what drivers there are available. Don't think there's going to be a great deal of drivers available. So what is the latest one? Oh, yeah, Windows 10 64-bit. We do have drivers available. So that is pretty awesome. So we've got the AMD chipset driver. So that has got the chipset, SATA, RAID, VGA, USB, etc. So we're going to go ahead and download that one. So let's download into our basket. And what have we got LAN wise? I think the LAN is working, Realtek LAN, yeah, because that was already installed. BIOS, we've got utility, probably didn't really need that. App BIOS, smart switch, easy tune, LAN optimizer, smart recovery. No, I don't think there's anything there that we really need. So the HD audio is actually appears to be working. So I don't think we really need that currently. We switch audio device. Yeah, speed of so it is installed. So yeah, we'll just wait for the chipset drivers to install and we'll get on with those, I think. At which point I realised that the onboard Wi-Fi on here, or the Wi-Fi card, is Wi-Fi N, which is yeah, pretty old. So go back to the LAN cable, speed things up a little bit. Okay, so this is giving some slightly bizarre readings. I've just fired up CPU ID hardware monitor. I'll link for that in the video description. It's actually quite a useful little thing for diagnostics. Looking at the screen now, which you'll probably be seeing full screen, this is basically idling at the moment, but we were installing some stuff just now. The package temperature at the moment is down to like 10 to 20 degrees when it's idling, which kind of is normal for this level of processor back in the day because they kind of registered differently. The highest it got was 42 degrees Celsius, but the core temperature is still running around about 60 degrees Celsius, what, 55, 60, something like that. But it has gone up to 91.1, so there's some slightly odd temperatures coming from the processor at present. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, it just spiked up again there to 70 degrees, and it's basically doing nothing, 80 degrees. So yeah, that is something we may need to look into. And actually, the download seems to be actually taking forever. So we may not be out of the woods quite yet, unfortunately. Maybe the chipset drivers will be the key to it, but we'll find out very shortly. Okay, so we've finally finished downloading, we've extracted the file, and we've got our setup file. I was kind of thinking that the graphics and the chipset are all integrated and combined in, which is kind of what we expect these days with AM4, but it kind of dawned on me that actually that's only been a relatively recent thing. So yeah, we're going to run the setup utility here for the Catalyst install manager. This is showing its age a little bit. I haven't seen this for a long time. So we've got Adrenaline graphics drivers and Catalyst chipset drivers. What could go wrong? So we're going to choose custom because we're not entirely sure that we want everything. So let's see what it finds. Access denied. You do not have permission to access this thing. Yes, because they shut it off ages ago. Right, so here we are. Here is a list of all the drivers that we can install. So application profiles, AMD display driver, which we don't need, so I'm going to omit that. We're going to use the HDMI audio driver, the null driver for the AMD chip. Don't want that display driver. Why does it not let me choose not to do that? So yeah, there's lots of things we can choose here. The most important one we want, I think, is going to be the SM bus driver. So let's just click next and hope and pray that everything works as it should do. I'm guessing, I suppose, I could have done it the other way around and actually gone into Device Manager and manually selected the folder where I think the drivers are, rather than letting it do its own thing. But hey, let's let it do its own thing and see what happens. Like I said, what could possibly go wrong? And my mouse is not working. Oh yeah, it's probably just installed the USB driver. So oh yeah, we're looking good. Looks like that PCI device has now disappeared, so yeah, that's pretty cool. So Device Manager at present is clean. So I'm going to close that down and we'll let this continue. Hopefully after a reboot we should be good to go. Although I am still concerned about the temperatures that we're getting from that CPU. So there we go, finish, all done. Did you want to reboot? Yeah, go on. Why not? I'll treat myself. I'm going to add that to the favourites. I might save some time later. We can close down Windows Update, don't need that anymore. And what we're doing temperature wise, yeah, we have hit 101 degrees Celsius. So actually, I'm not going to reboot now. I'm actually going to shut down now. And I'm going to turn this off entirely and see what is actually going on with the thermal paste. Because the actual cooler itself is stone cold. It's literally stone cold. It's freezing in here today, so it is going to be cold anyway. It's like 23 degrees. So yeah, we'll see what the actual cooler's like. So let's unclip. Actually, better still, let's turn off power. A lot easier than reaching over to the plug socket. And we can undo the clip on the top. Give it a little wiggle. Back in the old days when CPU coolers were pretty easy to do. Now that actually didn't feel terrible. And there is actually a little bit of heat actually in the cooler itself. It's feeling a little bit warmer now. Now I'm actually touching the sides of it. So what I think I'll do is I'll clean up the thermal paste anyway, just as a matter of course. We'll do that. I think that makes sense to do that, just so we know, even though it does appear, yeah, that might still be the stock paste. So I'm going to get out the cleaning stuff and we'll give this a good clean. So we've got our isopropyl alcohol, kindly provided by D8KEN. God bless you. And we've got some shop rags, which I believe Ugly Bob is actually sending some as well. So thank you in advance, Bob. Depending when you're watching this, I've probably already received them. Although saying that, Royal Mail strikes, you never know, you might never see them. And if the country runs out of toilet paper again, definitely not going to see them. So there is that cleaned up. That is almost like new, although that was something back in the day. They never really finished these particularly well, and they used an aluminium slug rather than a copper one, which we'll clean up the CPU as well. That is still in the socket. I'm not going to remove it from the socket. Doesn't seem any point in doing that whatsoever. So I'm going to clean this up. This is pretty caked on actually, so I don't think it's been replaced recently. And actually gives us a good chance to test out the new Arctic MX6 compound, which ironically I've had sent from D8KEN as well, who sent that, and also Bob's sending some as well, so we're going to have lots of MX6. So that's that nice and cleaned off. Let that dry off. Just still a little bit on there. There we go. So let's grab our MX6. So here we are, this is the new Arctic MX6 thermal compound. It's supposed to be particularly good. This is going to be the first time I've tried it, although kind of I'm not really using it in the way it should be used, I guess. But yeah, you can use it for anything you want. This is, I'm making a real mess of this. Does it come with a spatula? Nope. Okay, so it's interesting. What colour is it? Because the MX5 was like a bluey colour. This looks like it's gone back to its roots and is like a silvery colour. So let's put a little blob on the CPU and see what it's like. So I've done a little line on there, sort of slightly, maybe a little bit bigger than a grain of rice. Dave's paying for it, so I don't worry. I'm only joking. And we use our little plastic spreader. Some people say you shouldn't use the plastic spreader because it introduces air bubbles, and some people say you shouldn't use your finger, etc, etc. Whatever. Do it however you you want to. This stuff. So yeah, you do need to use a lot of pressure on this, it seems. It's a lot thicker than MX4 and MX5. In fact, you could probably also make a thermal pad out of it. Right, there we go. That appears to be done. So we can now reattach our CPU cooler. I do miss it when CPU coolers were only this big. The fan itself actually looks okay. There doesn't appear to be much dust in there, so that's going to be absolutely fine. And just tighten the latch round, snap it into place, and we'll plug in our PWM connector. I still don't like that Wi-Fi card. So let's fire up. Oh, let's get some power back on, that'd be helpful. Okay, so Windows is loading, so let's fire up CPU ID hardware monitor. Anytime today. This has actually got 16 gigs of RAM in there, so it's actually got some potential. Are the temperatures looking better? Where am I looking? Nope. The core temperatures are still reading ridiculously high, and the package temperature is still in the 30s, so it doesn't appear to be the thermal paste. Maybe it's just the way the hardware monitor now looks at those particular parts. Yeah, now it's dropping down again, so 9 degrees, 7 degrees. I do remember back in the old FX days, some programs would register like 0 degrees, so you'd be like, well, we're not nitrogen cooling, so how can it be 0 degrees? But I think there's like a 20-degree offset or something along those lines. Anyway, that seems to be working. The PC in general actually seems to be kind of okay. So let's run the CPU Z. I'm going to run the stress test, the bench test, and we'll keep an eye on the temperatures as well. Keep an eye, see if anything's going to be thermally throttling. We're going to bench, and we'll just do bench CPU first of all, see what we get. I can't imagine the scores are going to be great. 770, I guess, for multi-core, and probably 200 and something for single core. Yeah, that sounds, I think that sounds about right from memory. Because the Ryzen 3100 was about twice as fast, basically 450 points for the single core. So I think that sounds about right. let's run a quick stress test and see if we can get those temperatures pumped up and see if it does actually start thermally throttling. That'll be interesting to see if it does thermally throttle. Not that it makes a great deal of difference, because that is what it's essentially designed to do. So 4 gigahertz is basically its kind of peak that it should get to, somewhere around that 4051 is what we've got registered here. So it will bounce around between the standard speed, like 3600 and maybe 4100, that sort of thing. But it seems to be holding pretty well. Temperatures are awful. It is not a great CPU cooler, to be fair. The core temperatures are registering extremely high, but it doesn't appear to be throttling. Oh yeah, there we go, there's a hard throttle then. Although saying that, we've only got 4 cores and there's no hyperthreading, so if there's any background Windows tasks, they're going to jump in and try and do stuff. So there may be the occasional thing where a thread or a core is taken, but it does seem to be holding on. Yeah, it's dipping down to 1400. The actual processor score at the top there is 600-ish. It's down to 596, so it is gradually dropping down. But it isn't crashing or blue screening, so that is definitely a good sign. What we at, our package temperature is 38C, and the cores are at 87. So yes, not ideal scenario, but it does seem to be recovering. Every time the cores drop, it does pop back up. So yeah, I think I would argue that this is actually okay. Let's delete those. We don't need those anymore. Actually, delete that one as well. Yeah, as far as I can see, I feel this is a success so far. I'm a little bit unsure about the Wi-Fi card, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give the customer, well, not really customer, but I'm going to give them a call and see what the deal is with the Wi-Fi. Do they actually still use the Wi-Fi? If they do, I'm tempted I might just swap that card out for another card. If I've got one here which is going begging, I might just do that anyway, just to try and help them out. It is Christmas after all. And if not, I will see if I can get a replacement backplate for that particular card so it actually holds in properly, because that is just asking for trouble. It really is. And in fact, because it's quite an old card, only supports N frequency, I've probably got an AC USB stick, which would probably be just as good, if not better. So as far as things go, this is still going. Yeah, this is throttling a little bit now, but not horrendously so. And is it feeling warm yet? Yeah, there is a little bit of warmth transferring out to the actual CPU cooler now, which is a good sign. And is the noise still bad? So I think it's the PWM controller on the board, because when that starts up, the PWM controller is somewhere down in this area that is doing it. It's actually better than it was now that this isn't coiled. So I think this is somewhat of an actual victory. The PC is running. We haven't had to actually physically replace anything. There are recommendations we could make. Obviously, the power supply could do with upgrading, really. A 350 watt. It's not even an 80 plus, so realistically it's probably going to be putting out maybe 300 watts if you're lucky. And with age it might be getting worse, but it seems to be doing what it needs to at the moment. The hard drive is working okay. The fans seem to be okay. That one seems to be giving odd readings every now and then, although that seems to have settled down now. So that seems to be working. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. So I think I'm going to have to make that telephone call, see what the deal is, and see what they want to do. Whether they want to carry on with that Wi-Fi card or whether I'm going to stick another one in. But I think that's going to pretty much wrap things up as far as we're concerned. The PC is working. It doesn't appear to have any major issues. I'm guessing it was just some kind of configuration issue. So there you go. Fix or fail has been definitely a fix this time round, I'm pleased to say, and hasn't cost us any money, which is awesome. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, smash the like button, and if you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, then hit the subscribe button and the chime notification, and you'll be notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching. Okay, so we're back, and I may have prematurely ended the video, but actually unusually, we actually got a reply back straight away from the person whose PC it was. I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to say the names, so I probably won't do. So I just messaged and said, hi, got the PC up and running, installed fresh Windows 10 Pro and all the updates and security fixes. All seems to be running as it should. Was wondering if you use the Wi-Fi on the PC, as the Wi-Fi card bracket is missing, as you can see here. And yeah, it could cause damage and potentially short circuits because of those connections on the back touching the back of the frame of the PC, which is not going to be a great thing. So reply was, I think it was just used on Wi-Fi but was temperamental. Wow, I'm amazed. So I put yes, it would be temperamental because that's probably in and out of the socket all the time, which is probably not so good. She says, my son will be so happy, can it be made good? Was the question. And I said, well, to be honest with you, a new Wi-Fi card would be the safest bet. I have a new USB one here that you can have. She said, that's fantastic. Now actually, part of this, I should say, big thanks out everyone who contributes to the channel. This is all kind of down to you guys, what you do. This particularly, Ugly Bob sent over a couple of USB Wi-Fi adapters ages ago, so I've still got one of those left over, so we can give that to the lady and her son. And the Windows license key, which we're just about to install. Literally, I've just gone to premiumcdkeys.com/Mike's Unboxing. Shameless plug there, I do apologise. Discount code MUB5 for those of you that want to get yourselves a nice cheap Windows license key. And we could have gone through all kinds of things and retrieved the key somehow from the registry, possibly. But what's the point? For the sake of £4, we've gone to Premium CD Keys, bought a key with PayPal, obviously protected, etc. So now we have, here's the magic piece of paper, just printed that out. Normally when I buy a Windows license key from Premium CD Keys, obviously they email you the key number. So I always print it out and give it with the PC if I'm selling a PC, or put it in the motherboard box if it's one of my own, that sort of thing. Just so if you ever need it, you've got the license key there and you can reactivate your Windows. So definitely well worth doing. Again, it's a very cheap thing to do. So they're saying, oh, I'm so happy, he saved so long for it and thought it was a goner. Let me know when I can collect it and how much I owe you. I said the Windows license was a few quid and the Wi-Fi card was gifted to me from a viewer, so we're just passing on the goodwill. You don't owe us anything. So they're saying, yeah, that's amazing, blah, 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 etc. Very happy, which is always a good thing. So yeah, we're pretty much all done and dusted here. I have actually given it a little bit more of a clean. We've obviously done the thermal paste. Thank you, D8KEN, and also thank you, D8KEN, for the isopropyl alcohol, which we've given a bit of a rub down. Done a little bit of cable management in here. We haven't gone crazy. It is what it is with this case, but yeah, we're going to give it a little bit of a wipe over after when it's all done and dusted and put back together. But yeah, it's absolutely fine. There isn't any dust blocking anything or anything that should be in the way, so it's absolutely fine. So I'm going to go ahead now and actually activate Windows. So if you've not seen how to do this, if you've got a new Windows installation that's not activated and you want to activate it, it's super simple. Literally, get your key from premiumcdkeys.com. Shameless plug again, sorry about that. You've got your license key, so all you need to do is to click on Start, go to the Settings cog, and then you can head over into this section here. It says Windows isn't activated. Activate Windows now. So click on there, and you get the option to change product key. So hit change product key, and it couldn't be any simpler. Literally, all you do is enter your key into here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, if my eyesight will allow me. So our key is entered, and we click on Next. And it says you want to activate Windows. Now actually, there's something I haven't done. I should actually plug in the Wi-Fi adapter. That is going to be very helpful before we actually try and do that, because otherwise it's not going to connect to the internet. Right, so plugged in the Wi-Fi. I did actually plug it into the front USB, which is a USB 3.0, but then I realised actually there isn't actually a USB 3.0 front panel header on the motherboard, so clearly that won't be connected and will not work. So I might put a bit of black tape over there so as not to use it. Anyway, we've done it, we've connected, we're online, so just click on Activate. And in a very short time, we should find that Windows is activated. Appears it has done it. So there we go, Windows has been activated. We've activated this copy of Windows. And as you can see there, it says at the top, Windows 10 Professional. Windows is activated with a digital license, which is what we have just purchased. Legally and above board, and it hasn't cost us a fortune, literally about £4 after the translation from euros to pounds. An absolute bargain. So yeah, we've got a completely legal, legitimate Windows 10 Pro, licensed, all updated, ready to go. And best of all, the Wi-Fi works, and it doesn't appear to crash randomly, which is always a good sign. So that's going to wrap this one up. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, smash the like button. If you want to as well, subscribe, and you'll see more content on a daily basis in your feed. But yeah, I'm really happy. We've done a good job here. We've basically, as a community, I've just put my time into this and a little bit of electricity. Other than that, you guys have helped out. Obviously Dave with the cleaning stuff, the MX compound, and Bob with the Wi-Fi card. So yeah, as a community, we've managed to fix this kid's PC, and hopefully he's going to be super happy and get on and use it as it should be used, rather than it just being a doorstop, which is awesome. So that's going to wrap things up. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Oh, and if you've got somebody who wants a PC fixed and you're in the Bristol region and you don't mind dropping your PC to me for it being fixed and for it to be shown on the interweb, then please do get in touch from the contact details below. Thanks for watching.